Hi 3D kids. I am here to just recap of what we've been working on. So we worked on our task sheet with our learning goal there. Using sewing techniques, I can create a unique monster with felt. And we've worked through, we talked about different artists, which you should have responded to, like their bio, both of Jennifer Scrunge and Junker Jane. The third one down, you should have started to practice in your sewing and plan your monster. Remember not to make it too complicated or it's going to be really hard for you to sew it. We've also really tried different techniques with our sewing, and I know that some of you had a hard time seeing today, so I'm going to show you some of those techniques so that you guys can make sure you're doing it correctly. Okay, so remember we have to tie our string, so I just wrap it around my finger and then you roll your finger so that the knot, and then pull the knot. Okay, so roll, see, like this, and then pull, okay, with your other finger. Okay, always go in from the back. Okay, so you're pulling it through for the running stitch. So you pull it through, and then you are skipping a little bit ahead, putting it through the other side and pulling out. So you get this straight line. And then you do it again. Skipping a space, pulling it. And it doesn't have to be that exaggerated. It doesn't have to be that far apart, but that is a running stitch like this, and you're going in a row. Okay? The back stitch would be exactly the same way, except when you come out here, don't pull it too tight because it starts to crumple. Remember, you actually go backwards. That's if you want to draw straight lines like a mouth, and then if you keep going ahead, and then you go back. Okay, so that's the running stitch was to start, and then I showed you the back stitch. If you wanted to make like sew something onto your felt, like an eyeball, let's see if I can grab, here we'll do this so we have some felt to work with, just a scrap of felt, so I can show you how you can sew it on. Okay, so say you wanted to sew this on, not using those two stitches, you can come in here, pull it, okay, and then you're going to come out onto there. Like that. And you would just keep going. Okay, now I lost my needle. That's what you got to be careful with the single stitch or the single thread technique. Okay. And the same thing. You would go in next to it and then through. Sometimes it bunches up, so you just got to be careful you don't get a knot. Okay, so see? And it goes in a row. You would go all the way around doing the same stitch. Okay, now if we wanted to go, remember we talked about the loop stitch? When we want to loop it around the edge, you're going to loop it around the edge, around, and you keep going that way. So see, it loops on the edge. And you would just keep doing that. Okay, sometimes it'll cross over, so you just got to make sure they're separated. Okay, and loops around. Okay, so see, loops around. Now the blanket stitch, it's what I did for the around the edges of my alien. You're gonna loop around, same as I was just doing. You're looping around the edge, but instead of finishing it by pulling it all the way, you're going to knot it. So you put the thread right through the hole and you pull and it makes a knot. Now at first it doesn't look that great, but you have to do the second one. And then you'll start to see how it, this way. So you see how it starts to, oh, I don't know, right here. See how it starts to make a line at the top? Okay, so you loop it around, and then you knot it. So see, it makes the edge have like this little loop on the top. Okay, all right, so those are the techniques you can use. Now, if you wanted to sew a button on, let's do a dark button so you guys can see it. Okay. You're going through the back into the hole with your needle. Like that. And then you go through there. Okay, and you do that a couple times, maybe twice, going through the hole and then back through the hole, okay? And on the back, now when you want to end your stitch, you're going to go in and out of the fabric. See, like that. Loop it around and then put it through the hole to make a knot. Okay, and you do that maybe twice in the same area. Okay, pull nice and tight so that it stays, and there's your little knot, and then you can cut your string. Okay, all right, so after you do your pattern, after you cut your pattern out, you're going to trace it onto your fabric. Remember, you need to double up your fabric so you have two pieces that are exactly the same. See, you're going to have a line where your Sharpie or your pen or whatever you did to trace it. So I want you to flip them inside out so that you don't see that anymore. Okay? So there's my monster body. I'm flipping it so it lines up. Both should flip. Okay, and you also need to cut out all of your things that you're going to add on to your monster. Always, like, you know, put it back together and see if it looks okay. Okay, because you might not like how it looks. Okay, now when you're cutting with felt, use the red scissors. The black scissors don't work very well. Okay, and you're going to cut your pieces out. Okay, you might have to just be very patient with the cutting. Do not rush. I'm going to make his eyeball a little bit smaller, his pupil. You want to have nice edges, so take your time. You know, you don't want to have like crooked edges. Okay, so I have my monster, and then I was thinking of doing a green mouth. Let me cut it out. Okay. This monster is going to be for my son, so I want it to look very friendly. So he's going to have a big giant mouth, okay? Make sure that it fits. Like if you don't like how it looks, then you need to change it. Don't just keep going with it, or if it's too hard, don't just keep like working on it until it, you know, we waste a lot of felt compared to just a little bit of felt, okay? Right, so I don't know. You just play with it. Figure out what you want your monster to look like, what kind of details it's going to have, all that stuff, okay? After you're done, you're going to be using those sewing techniques that I showed you on your monster. If you need help, please ask me, okay? You should not be fooling around. You should be working on your monsters. And if you need help, please come and ask me. I will absolutely help you. Okay? All right, thanks. I hope your monsters look awesome, and I think they will. And I also have buttons, so if you don't want to use regular eyes, I've got button eyes. That's up to you, okay? All right, I will see you in class. Thanks. Bye.